Celia's Great Sleep Adventure. Chapter 1. The Golden Key to 5. Once upon a time, in a house filled with the scent of cinnamon and the sound of soft laughter, lived a brave girl named Celia. Celia had just turned 5, a very magical age. To Celia, 5 felt like wearing a crown made of sunshine. It meant she could swing higher, run faster, and whistle a tiny bit. But the most exciting part of being 5 was the Great Sleep Adventure. Her parents had told her that every hero needs a special base, a place where they can recharge their magic. For Celia, this was her brand new, big girl bed. It sat in her room like a pristine white ship ready to sail across the sea of dreams. Her little brother, Jude, stood at the doorway, his eyes wide with wonder. He looked at the bed and then at Celia, his hero. To Jude, Celia was the bravest person in the world. He clapped his small hands, his face beaming with a toothy grin. "Big," he chirped, pointing at the bed. Celia felt a flutter of excitement in her chest. She realized that by sleeping in her own bed, she wasn't just going to sleep. She was embarking on a mission. She was showing Jude how to be big, and she was showing herself how strong her heart could be. This was the first step into a larger world, where she was the master of her own cozy kingdom. Chapter 2. The Cloud-Soft Sanctuary. Mommy knelt beside the new bed, smoothing out the sheets. "Celia," she whispered, "this isn't just a bed. It's a cloud-soft sanctuary built just for you." They spent the afternoon picking out the perfect pillows, ones that felt like marshmallows, and a blanket that shimmered like the tail of a mermaid. Mommy explained that a big girl bed is a place of peace. It is a place where Celia's thoughts could turn into beautiful stories. As they tucked the corners of the fitted sheet, Mommy told Celia that being independent was like growing wings. "When you sleep here, you are telling the world that you are a capable explorer," Mommy said. Celia ran her hand over the cool fabric. She felt the weight of the responsibility and the lightness of the pride. She wasn't just Celia anymore. She was Celia the independent. Mommy gave her a gentle squeeze, her eyes full of love and confidence. Every tuck of the blanket was a promise of safety. Celia realized that even though she was in her own bed, her mother's love was woven into every thread of the quilt, keeping her warm and anchored to the shore of home. Chapter 3. The Secret Power of Sleep. That evening, Daddy sat on the edge of the bed with a book about the wonders of the body. He explained something very important to Celia. "While you are tucked away in your own bed, your body is doing secret magic," he said, his voice low and mysterious. He told her that sleep is like a master builder. It uses the quiet hours of the night to make her bones grow stronger, her muscles grow faster, and her brain grow even smarter. "Every hour you spend resting in your big girl bed," Daddy whispered, "is an hour where you become the best version of yourself. You wake up with more ideas, more energy, and a bigger smile." Celia imagined tiny, friendly builders inside her, polishing her thoughts and helping her grow tall enough to reach the high shelves. She realized that sleep wasn't just an end to the day, it was the fuel for her next great adventure. Daddy tapped her on the nose, his eyes twinkling in the soft lamplight. He was so proud of how she listened, treating her like the mature 5-year-old she was. Celia felt like she was part of a grand plan, and her bed was the most important place in the house for her magic to happen. Visible String. Chapter 4. The Star of Bravery. Before the sun dipped below the horizon, Jude came into the room, holding something tightly in his small fist. He walked over to Celia and opened his hand to reveal a glowing, star-shaped nightlight. It was his favorite one, but he wanted Celia to have it. "For you," he said softly. Celia's heart melted. She realized that Jude wasn't just proud of her, he looked to her for guidance. If she could be brave and sleep in her own bed, then Jude would know that there was nothing to fear in the quiet of the night. She took the star and placed it on her nightstand. It cast a gentle, amber glow across the room, chasing away the deep shadows. Jude gave her a quick, clumsy hug before Daddy whisked him off to his own room. Celia looked at the glowing star and felt a surge of heroic strength. She was the guardian of the star. She was the one who showed her little brother how to face the night with a smile. She wasn't just sleeping alone. She was leading the way for her family. Chapter 5. The Invisible String. The time finally came for the good nights. Mommy tucked Celia in, pulling the mermaid shimmer blanket up to her chin. Celia felt a little bit small in the big bed for a moment, but Mommy leaned down and whispered a secret. "Do you know about the invisible string?" she asked. "It's a string made of love that connects my heart to yours. No matter where you are, even if I'm in the other room, the string is always there. If you feel lonely, you can just tug on it in your heart, and I'll feel it." Celia closed her eyes and tried to imagine the string. It was golden and glowing, stretching through the walls and down the hallway. She felt it hum with the warmth of Mommy's voice. Mommy kissed her forehead, a kiss that felt like a shield of light. "I'm just a few steps away," Mommy said. "And I love you more than all the stars." Celia felt the invisible string pull tight and cozy. She realized that independence didn't mean being alone. It meant being connected in a new, stronger way. She was a big girl now, and her love was big enough to reach across any distance. Chapter 6. The Dance of the Shadow Fairies. As the house grew quiet, Celia noticed the shadows on her wall. At first, they looked like strange, long fingers. She hugged her stuffed bear, Bramble, close to her chest. But then, she remembered she was a hero on an adventure. She looked closer at the shadows. The curtain was waving in the breeze, making the shadows move. "Look, Bramble," she whispered. "They aren't scary. They're fairies dancing." She watched as the shadows swayed to the rhythm of the wind. They weren't intruders. They were guests at a midnight ball. Celia felt a giggle bubble up in her throat. She realized that her imagination was a tool she could use to turn anything into something wonderful. The dark wasn't an empty space. It was a canvas for her dreams. Bramble's fuzzy ears felt soft against her cheek, and she felt like a queen watching over her silent, dancing subjects. She was the master of her room, and she decided that everything in it was there to keep her company and keep her safe. Chapter 7. The Hero's Quiet Strength. In the quiet, Celia heard a tiny sound from the hallway. It was the sound of Jude's soft breathing as he slept in his own room nearby. She thought about how much Jude looked up to her. If she stayed in her bed all night, she would be the ultimate hero. She imagined herself wearing a cape made of moonlight, standing guard over the whole house. Her bravery was like a silent song that helped everyone else sleep soundly. She felt a deep sense of responsibility and pride. Being 5 meant being a leader. She didn't need to go to Mommy and Daddy's room because she was the one holding the fort. She felt her muscles relax and her heart beat a steady, confident rhythm. She was Celia the Courageous, and her big girl bed was her throne of triumph. She looked at a framed photo on her nightstand of her and Jude playing in the park, and she felt a wave of love that made her feel 10 feet tall. Chapter 8. The Nighttime Patrol. A floorboard creaked outside her door, and a sliver of light appeared as the door opened just an inch. It was Daddy, checking in. He didn't come in to wake her. He just peeked through the gap to make sure his brave girl was okay. Celia saw his shadow and felt a rush of warmth. She knew that even though she was sleeping independently, her parents were always watching over her. They were like the lighthouse keepers, and she was the ship at sea. Daddy whispered a very quiet, "I love you, Celia," before closing the door softly. She realized that sleeping in her own bed was a gift she was giving to her parents too. It showed them that they had done a great job teaching her how to be strong. She closed her eyes and felt the safety of her home surrounding her like a hug. She wasn't just a child. She was a partner in the family, doing her part to make sure everyone had a restful night. Chapter 9. The Kingdom of Dreams. Finally, Celia's eyes grew very heavy. She drifted off into a deep, magical sleep. In her dreams, she found herself in a kingdom made of crystal and starlight. She was flying over mountains made of velvet and rivers made of silver. Because she was sleeping so soundly in her own bed, Her dreams were vivid and beautiful. She saw herself growing taller with every step she took in the dream world. She solved puzzles and helped magical creatures, using the smarts that her brain was building while she rested. This was the reward for her bravery. The kingdom of sleep was a place where she could be anything: an astronaut, a princess, or a dragon rider. She realized that by staying in her own bed, she had unlocked the door to this incredible world. The air in her dreams smelled like lavender and cookies, and she felt lighter than a feather. She was the hero of her own subconscious, exploring the vast reaches of her imagination. Chapter 10. The Midnight Choice. In the middle of the night, Celia woke up for just a moment. The house was very, very still. For a second, she thought about getting up and walking to Mommy and Daddy's room. She missed the sound of their breathing. But then, she felt the invisible string tug on her heart. She remembered the secret magic of growing taller and smarter. She looked at the glowing star Jude had given her. "I am a hero," she whispered to Bramble. She made a choice, a big girl choice. She snuggled deeper into her marshmallow pillows and pulled her mermaid blanket tight. She decided to stay. That moment of choosing to stay was the bravest thing she had ever done. It was the moment she truly became a big girl. She felt a wave of peace wash over her, more powerful than any fear. She was the master of the midnight hour, and she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Within minutes, she was back in the kingdom of dreams, more confident than ever. Chapter 11. The Golden Morning. The sun began to peek through the curtains, painting golden stripes across Celia's floor. Celia opened her eyes and felt a wonderful sensation in her chest. She had done it. She had stayed in her bed the whole night. Just then, the door burst open, and Jude came running in, his pajamas trailing behind him. He scrambled onto the foot of her bed, his face lit up like the sun itself. "Celia! Celia!" he shouted joyfully. He looked at her with such pride that Celia felt like she had won a gold medal. She sat up, stretching her arms wide, feeling refreshed and strong. She felt taller, just like Daddy said she would. She felt smarter, just like the book promised. Most of all, she felt proud. She had faced the great sleep adventure and come out a champion. The morning air felt crisp and full of possibility, and the whole house seemed to be cheering for her. Chapter 12. The Champion's Feast. Celia marched into the kitchen where Mommy and Daddy were waiting. Daddy picked her up and gave her a giant high five. "Our independent explorer," he cheered. Mommy had made a special victory breakfast with pancakes shaped like stars and strawberries that tasted like summer. As they sat together, Celia told them all about the shadow fairies and the kingdom of dreams. Jude listened to every word, nodding his head as if she were a legendary storyteller. Celia realized that sleeping in her own bed wasn't just about one night. It was the start of a whole new chapter of growing up. She was 5, she was brave, and she was loved beyond measure. She knew that every night would be a new adventure, and she couldn't wait to see where her big girl bed would take her next. She looked at her family and knew that because she was brave, the whole world felt a little bit more magical.